Hi, this is Chemo Knowles, and I'm here to demonstrate some of the work I've been doing with pixel mapping and show control, using Touch Designer, Ableton Live, Max for Live, and a few other frameworks. So on the left, this is the program I've written in Touch Designer, and it's showing a simulation view of an LED installation. On the right, I can control this installation from Ableton Live. I can launch different scenes, and I can also just launch individual clips, which correspond to individual graphical elements. As you can see, these elements are composited together onto the same master output frame. So I'll show some of the piece itself, the physical piece. I was involved in the creation of this as well from a tech standpoint. I was speccing the parts, designing the wiring layout, programming the microcontrollers, all that sort of stuff, everything in between the control software and the physical output. So what the client wanted with this, especially because this is more of a sculpture than a screen, they wanted a way to separate the individual aesthetic elements of the piece out and to be able to simply and conveniently push graphics just to those elements separately. So this video is not a very good example of that. I think we were actually using a different software back at this point. This one shows a little bit better. You can see there's kind of the separation of this circles are doing one thing, for example, and the horizontal bits are doing a different thing. So I should also go through a bit of this as well. Acknowledgements. A lot of what I've been doing is a direct extension of this Ableton Live Touch Designer solution from Derivative Wiki. You can look up. Yeah, it says it was used in this Amon Tobin set. So this was really cool. I went to this, actually. This GeoPix by Lucas Morgan. So I did some collaboration with him and took a lot of inspiration from his software as well. So I definitely recommend checking this out. This kind of serves a similar purpose to what I've been doing, in that it's, user-generated LED maps, rapid content creation, that kind of stuff. And this is getting pretty well polished and finished out, and it's up for sale now. So definitely recommend checking his stuff out. And this some of this work by Michael Hoffner as well, which I'm using directly. So this is some work in a way to serve the Ableton Live API over a WebSocket interface using Java and Node. So that's been pretty useful as well. So let me get a little bit more into the details of this software here. I have a few different UI screens. This is my device viewer. So right now I have 3 devices set up. Each of these is a Teensy microcontroller right now, streaming pixels over a serial interface. And these are my maps. So these are kind of like, I guess you would call these pixel maps, but these are a lot like UV maps in that they're just a collection of points that you can arbitrarily sample an image from. So you can see these in action as I launch different scenes, different ones get activated. Might stick on this one for now. That's a good example. So what I'm doing here is I launch these clips. You can see these clips have very particular arguments in their names, which correspond that API interface I was talking about. That WebSocket interface is how I'm piping all these names and all this other continuous control data over to the Touch Designer side. So I have these knobs as well, which control the output of the image generator. And I have these drop downs, which I think these might not be visible on the recording for some reason, but this is a long list of all the different maps seen over here and all the different image generators I can pick from. So for example, once I have something set up here, I'll choose a map. I'll choose a animation and create that clip right there. And very rapidly I should be able to see an output here, yeah, onto this map right up there. Yeah, usually these knobs control something to do with the motion or the color output of that image, but I intentionally keep them abstract so they can potentially control anything to do with the image generator. The other cool thing about these knobs, which you may have noticed earlier, is that these are Ableton Live API knobs in Max for Live, so these can be automated the same way you would with any device in Ableton Live. So I can very simply just create some kind of curve here, and I'll create this curve just to demonstrate the tight synchronization with music, which has also been a major goal of the project. The main client right now is a musical performer and also a DJ kind of music producer. So very important. Another goal from this from the beginning has been a way for producers who, for example, may have a lot of experience in Ableton Live. They may have 10,000 hours in this, but not necessarily have the resources or the wherewithal to go through the learning curves of something like VJ software or something like a advanced programming framework like Touch Designer. But just by downloading this software and setting this up, they can, mostly using Ableton Live only, they can create a whole set. All this sequencing, all these events can be just interacted with in here. Especially since right now I'm just running with a preset collection of image generators. They can just go right in here and pick whatever they want. In the future, I'd like to have some kind of interface, some kind of plugin system. Maybe something similar to Rouge by Mary Frank has a modular plugin system where users can create their own image generators. But yeah, for now it's just presets. What I do have in place, though, another important feature, is a way to create these maps on the user side. So I'll show that momentarily. So how that's done, I'll just type a name of my map here. And that should show up in the tray. Right there. And then I should probably show this first. Let me see this. Yeah, this is all my data, my 3D model of the piece. I just created this from some reference photos, some measurements, and then using this grasshopper definition, this is all sorted out into the respective pixel coordinates. So you can see they're separated by color, which has to do with the device chain output. Usually there's multiple chains in parallel of LEDs output from the same microcontroller. And you can also see a couple of these arrows, which represent the signal flow direction. So all this data is packed up. This isn't really user-friendly yet either. This is just something that I've done in the meantime. I probably won't even be using Rhino Grasshopper in the future. It's just something I know how to do, something I chose for ease of prototyping. But all that data is packed up and held persistently in that Touch Designer program. And then this solution over here is what I'm going to use again. So I'll hit my select button right here, which starts the dialog between Touch Designer and Grasshopper. And that same point cloud set of pixels is shown here now. So now these are editable. I can very simply just pick which ones I want and get rid of some of these that are not part of the piece, but here's the main piece. And I want to pick a map right now. It might not be the most interesting or make the most sense visually, but I just want to pick one that demonstrates another important feature, which is that these maps can span multiple output devices. So that's been another important milestone for development, being able to do that. I think that can make this solution really scalable. So something from that back piece, something from the front, something from this wearable here. I'll hit the select button here. So that created one type of pixel map. This is a grid map, which lays out every LED strip with a constant length. So this is pretty useful. I think I was using this in the beginning of the video. Maybe one of these. Yeah, so using a grid map like this, I can apply a very simple graphic and have a very complex result coming out, which is, yeah, somewhat complicated looking, but also pretty well organized still at the same time. So beyond that, though, I think I'm just going to create a regular projection map for now. So I'll arrange these onto my output frame. These red X's represent the two-dimensional projection that's ultimately going to be my map. And then, as you can see, I can arrange these and transform these however I want. So pretend like that makes sense. I'll press my output button here, and this should be reflected back in my maps right here. In my Max for Live plugin, these menus are dynamically updated, so I should be able to find my map here, choose an animation, and very quickly create a clip like that and start animating. So there's what it looks like in the pixel map. And there's my overall output. So I think I'll stop there for now. I think I've shown most of the important features that I've got so far. In the future, I'm definitely going to be looking into more ways to control the animation, these parameters, rather than just using knobs on the timeline. Things like audio analysis and a lot of communication with other software or with sensors, microcontrollers, that kind of stuff. Audience interaction is a big goal of the client. So, and in general, I just hope to keep developing this, keep coming out with interesting innovations. So I hope this video has been useful or interesting in some way, and that's all I have. Thank you.